What are you so freaked out about, man?
What's going on?
Had to make a quick bathroom pit stop before we got started on Bark After Dark tonight.
Man, I've had some gremlins over here. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. I had gremlins in my body yesterday. Now I got gremlins in the old PC. It's
a child's sickness. You suffered from.
I've been with you in the hospital.
But let's not. Come on now.
Hospitals.
We don't. Yeah.
Hey, I mean, at least you didn't like we talked about in the last episode. At least you didn't get T-boned, an eye cut open, and have to walk to the hospital. That was a good day.
No doubt, man.
Just us tonight, man, and we wanted it that way. I always hate to promise things to folks, but we got Brandon Adams coming on next week. If Brandon is a man of his word, and I'd have a hard time believing anybody else would be a more man of their word. So Brandon's coming on next week. Could have come on this week, but we thought it would be good to kind of parse it out and get to a point where, we got we get finite number of guests out there, man. We've been lucky to get who we've gotten thus far. We're only a show or two away. Humility is a week away, as Kirby Smart says, and we hadn't got turned down yet, but it may be coming.
Oh, well, yeah, and listen, like you said, what an incredible slate of guests we had for this first run, man. I mean, we open with you and I. We get just Ross, Dean, Dan Inman, Andy Staples comes on with us. I mean, just knocking it out of the park left and right, man. What an incredible slate. Go back and check out the previous episodes of Bark After Dark if you haven't done that. And but I gotta say, man, I'm a little bit excited to just have a little Jake on Jake tonight.
Yeah, for the whole show. Just kind of preview what's going on. We're going to do what we normally do at the front of the show. Then we've got what I think is a nice little draft. We got a little 5-round draft that Roos and I are going to go head to head on. And honestly, I couldn't really plan it out a whole lot because I'm really interested to see what Roos is going to do here. And then obviously at the end, we got Jake on Jake coming up with a question out of right field, left field, center field, right center field, whatever you want to call it.
Do you think about those? Do you think about those before we do them? Do you pre-plan a little bit?
Yeah, and like I told you here recently, I think the one that I told you about, that I asked you, was it this past time where I said I think my question going forward for our guests is, hey man, face down in a ravine, they find you, you're dead. Yeah. You get to pick your musical, you get to pick your musical performance at your funeral who you're going with. And I think that's going to be my pick from here on out.
That's a good one.
Yeah, because I listen, I switch up on it all the time. Like my wife and I, it was our 11th anniversary on Friday, and we went to Revival Hall Tap Room in Jefferson.
I thought you were just going to say Revival, and I was going to say that's pretty unexpected, to be honest.
No, we didn't go to a tent revival. We went to Revival Hall Tap Room. It's a really cool place. No snake handling there. There were people bringing their dogs inside. I think one of the dogs got stepped on at one point and scared us all to death. But there was this dude that was really talented. He was covering a lot of you know how I am about pop rock, man, about like 90s pop rock. And I love it. I love it.
Aren't we all, though? Aren't we all, really, at the end of the day?
Good. It's so good. And he played a lot of like Matchbox 20. He played some Third Eye Blind. I think he threw some Rusted Root in there, which was awesome. There was and he hit me somewhere. It felt deep in my soul because it was you asked me the album I'd listened to the most. And I didn't think of this album, but Dizzy Up the Girl by Dogs. I listened to that album on loop.
Which one did he play though?
He played Black Balloon.
Oh, Black Balloon's a great song.
He played Black Balloon. He played Slide. He played Acoustic Number 3. Which were
Broadway. Broadway is the underrated cut from that album, though, for sure.
Yeah, but I think Broadway or Black Balloon are probably my favorite. That's a great album. I mean, hearing him sing those songs that kind of had some nostalgia, I was like, oh man, I might have Hootie and the Blowfish or somebody get to my album. No Dean Leggy at my funeral. If I could get Darius Rucker to sing at my funeral, I think Dean would have to skip it.
We one of the songs that one of my local watering holes has been playing the last couple weeks, and I don't know why, but I'm glad they have, is "Story of a Girl." You remember that song?
Yeah.
God Almighty, man! I knew every lyric of that, like, and I hadn't thought about that song in 20 years. Man.
And you get to the third chorus, and they do that little pause. It's like, this is the story of a girl.
Yeah.
And I always recognize it. It always kind of gives me a little bit more juice. Good song, no doubt.
Sure.
Who did that song?
So 9 Days is the
9
name
Days.
of that band. I thought it was Stroke 9, which you can see how I would make that comparison. But Stroke 9 did Little Black Backpack, if you remember that song.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was like
I had both of those on a burnt CD at different points.
Everybody did, buddy. Yeah. We had like the same 12 songs on every burnt CD, and then like the 4 new ones that we ran into.
What are you drinking?
So tonight I'm drinking Pernicious by Wicked Weed Brewing, a nice IPA. I'm a big IPA guy, as you might know. I kind of trended away from Wicked Weed for a while because they sold out to Budweiser, and I like to support the local guys. But listen, let's be real. I'm in Copper Hill. My beer selection is a little bit stifled for that reason. We've got a couple of great local craft breweries, including Buck Bald, who's on my hat. Those are my boys. But if you're going to go to the beer store and pick something up, you got to get kind of whatever's on tap. And they had some Sweetwater. I thought about that G13, and I might probably end up doing that at some point. But tonight it's Pernicious by Wicked Weed for me. What about you?
I'm enjoying some
electrolytes.
Coffee.
Oh,
a little bit of decaf coffee. I'm letting the system rest a little bit tonight. No poison inside of me. That I've had a cleanse, an involuntary cleanse for the past 20 hours or so. But I'm feeling a lot better. But yeah, I figured it'd be a good idea to kind of keep the rice diet thing going for at least another day. I got a spring practice to cover tomorrow, which is pretty crazy. Can't believe we're already there. The march toward 2023 began weeks ago. But this is the march as we get to see it, and it's going to be fun. I know you guys talked about it probably a little bit last night on the Georgia show. But I will say Friday night I had a beer that I will probably frequent Revival Hall tap room to have, and it was called either Pop It and Bock It or Bock It and Pop It.
Bock It and Pop It makes sense.
Yeah, but it's a German Bock. It's a kind of it's a dark, kind of heavy, but also just super nutty and really good tasting beer. Enjoyed it a lot. I can't remember the exact name of it, but it was a German Bock. Man, it was strong and it was really good. I had a couple.
A well done Bock is pretty hard to pass.
Yeah, no doubt. I love Shiner Bock. That's my barbecue beer. Mm-hmm. So I had about I think I had about 4 or 5 ounce pours of it. I didn't want to go big heavy pours because I think it was something around like 10.5% or something. And and that's all I drank that night. I didn't throw down. It was my wife's turn to drink. So I had about, like I said, about 4 or 5 ounce pours of that, which comes down to about 1.5 pints, 1.25 pints. So it wasn't too much. But yeah, we had a great time. Great barbecue place too. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of Black Market Barbecue. They had a food truck there. Tremendous. Some of the best brisket I've had in the state of Georgia ever. And it was really good too. But yeah, kind of getting my beer taste back a little bit. Kind of enjoying the beer back a little bit.
Yeah.
Gotta get ready for the beach.
I went down to Chattanooga. Up to, I guess, for me. I went up to Chattanooga on Friday, hit Monkey Town Brewing and then Wonderlinger Brewing. Had a couple nice beers at both of them. Had a good time. Drank probably way too much, and so I'm kind of still nursing that on a Monday night just because I'm on the downward slide toward 40 at this point, and that's how it goes these days, man. So, yeah, but some good stuff going on in the craft brew scene up in Chattanooga. I had a great time. So,
well, at least I'm closer to 40 than I am 39. So, which hurts a little bit. I was talking to my wife this weekend. I said, I don't think I want a big party for my 40th birthday. I think we'll go to Cotton Calf Kitchen there in Brazelton, or we'll go to Chuck's Fish in Athens or something. And with some good friends and, have some drinks and have some good food, some expensive food, and enjoy it. But I talked to you on Friday when you were in Chattanooga, and listen, I cast some aspersions on the city of Marietta. I don't regret it. But I'll tell you why I cast some, and it was nobody's fault but my own. I took my kids to to their grandparents who live in West Cobb. They live in Powder Springs. Shout out to Lala and G, good people.
Territory, baby.
But yeah, and so I went and I dropped them off. And everything went great. And I was so happy that my son wasn't like freaking out. He's 3, just wanting to come with me. So I left. And like you said, I drew a card. I took a card out of the deck, and it was the ace of spades, baby. And I got out clean and clear. I got all the way out on 285, no traffic, was merging onto 85. And my mother-in-law calls me. She goes, "Hey, where are the car seats?" And I'm like, "They're with me." I didn't even have to look back. I just knew where they were.
Oh, that was just that's when you're just looking ahead, you don't even have to look back. That's just suffering, man.
Yeah, as soon as it came out of her mouth, I went, "They're with me." And so looking back, what I had to deal with at that point, I had a chance to get home by like 3:30. I ended up getting home about 6:45.
Yeah. I bet.
It was 5:45.
I didn't get to follow up with you. How was the second go round at it?
Bad.
I mean, as bad as you expected?
Bad. Yeah. They met me at the end of Windy Hill, which was pretty cool. Not far from the stadium up there, which kind of helped me out some.
Otherwise.
What's that?
Yeah, you'd have been home at 8 otherwise.
Yeah. So they met me up there, but oh my God, man, I was so angry. And then by the time I got back to Windy Hill, that whole area, you couldn't move, you couldn't breathe, you couldn't. And I was angry. I was tired. I was angry at me more than anything else. But still, I'm telling you right now, $1 billion. You say, Jake Rowe, you get $1 billion. You've got to live in Cobb County to keep all of it, but you can live anywhere else and you just get $100 million. I'd have $100 million. I'd have a hard time spending it. I'd have a hard time spending all that because I would, like I told somebody, I would find myself about 15 acres, maybe 20, 25 acres of land somewhere between Arcade and Nicholson, where there's not a ton of mountains and there's not a bunch of flat land. Try to get me a little pond on it or something, build me a big house, build me a big barn dominium, and we're good to go. I wouldn't need anything else.
Chad Dog says, I hate Atlanta. I tell people all the time, if I knew – so like right now I don't have to go to Atlanta for anything in the near future or in the long-term future. But if I knew I did today, I would have anxiety about it already. Like as soon as I know it, it's just a building anxiety for however long it is until I actually have to do it.
And I tell you what, it's insanity because here's why. I'll be booking it down 85 and we're going smooth. And I'm talking about it's like Groundhog Day, dude. I mean, somewhere between Jimmy Carter and Spaghetti Junction, you're gonna just get jammed up. And I'm going
through Pappadeaux, man, at a Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, and I'm gonna
act Martins.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that Pappadeaux is legit, though.
I think
there's been a many a times I've covered Georgia Tech games and called Pappadeaux and be like, "Hey, I want a pasta Mardi Gras to go," and then just swing through and pick it up. I think one time I was just in there, just like scooping it out, like just tearing it up on the way back. But yeah, but you hit it, and I have the same reaction. I say the same curse words. I get just as frustrated every single time, and it's insanity because I guess I just keep doing it and expecting a different result.
Yeah. Oh, no question. It's just pain, man. It really is. Like the one of the only good things about it is like there's a couple spots on the way back that I figured out. Like you said, like Pappadeaux is great. I love to stop by there every time. Normally, I treat myself to that QT over there in near Decula. That's like the gateway to Athens, is what I consider that, man. Right off of 85. And then maybe you go to Chin's Family Restaurant in
Statham.
On your way back. So there's a couple reasons to go through there, but otherwise it's just suffering. Palmer's shaking his head. He's because he's a child. is a child's palate.
Speaking of QT, if you've ever gotten on 138, if you've ever gone that way, hit 20, got in Conyers 138. You take that left on 138. You're headed back towards Monroe.
Yep.
There's a QT on the right. I stopped there one time. Just one of those like, hey man, I got
one right off the 20, right?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, right off 20. It's very close.
Yep.
Right before you get to, there's a really nice golf course down there. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Somebody will know in the comments. But right before you get there, there's that QT on the right. I stopped, run in and pee. Had to go real bad. Was leaving, and I was like in a hurry because I was trying to get home. I think I was trying to get somewhere. And man, I tripped and stumbled, and I went face first into that glass door, and that thing shattered into a million pieces.
You broke a door with your face.
With my whole body weight. I mean, it just blew up. It was like somebody shot it with buckshot. It was most with one guy goes, man, I've been working with QT for 11 years, and I've never seen one of these doors break.
They're also at that same exit is a Hooters, and I've eaten at that Hooters more than any other Hooters in my life, dude. Because listen, I'll tell you this: when you work recruiting, and you know this is true. When you work recruiting, you're looking for. I'm always looking for two things. You're probably only looking for one thing. I'm looking for Wi-Fi, places I know have Wi-Fi, and then beer. And so I want to go have a beer and I want to write a story. That Hooters always had great Wi-Fi, always good beer, and a Daytona wing is a delicacy.
Yeah, the Daytona wing's pretty good. I can't remember the last time I ate at a Hooters, though. It might have been me and you, like in Lawrenceville, way back. Like I'm talking about like 7-8 years ago, maybe.
Did we go to a Hooters?
I think we did.
I've been to a lot of Hooters, man. I won't go for the traditional reasons, man. It's like they're cute girls, but like, let's be real, man. Like the one in Conyers, it ain't the Lawrenceville one, and it sure ain't the downtown Atlanta location either. I mean, God bless them.
Hooters ain't what it used to be.
I agree completely. Hooters
ain't what it used to be. Yeah, but that's fine. Those women need loving too. All right, let's get into.
Dylan Brooks said he would pay for the security footage of your QT.
So would I.
I would too. I would. Yeah. Too.
So would I. I like to imagine. that day, or when they submitted the request to come to get that door fixed or for on insurance or whatever, that they watched that thing over and over and over again. And I honestly believe that if I would have done it today, and this was literally like 10 years ago, if they would have done it today, I think it'd be on TikTok. It'd be on TikTok.
Like a 5-second clip, just bam.
Yeah. There'd be a meme. There'd be like a GIF of it, passed around regularly. But yeah, that'd be awesome. So let's get to this draft. And all right, I want to explain this draft. So I got to thinking. So college football accoutrement, right? Like college football companions. What goes with college football? And listen, everything's on the table, and we're going to be specific with it. If you want to pick beer, pick beer. If you want to pick liquor, pick liquor. If you want to pick, it doesn't matter. Hedges, whatever. What is synonymous with college football? And that's the draft. We got 5-round snake draft. I don't know who's going to go first.
Wait, do you have a coin?
I don't.
Hold on. I can get one real quick.
I'm that broke.
Okay, give me a sec.
He's not going to answer his door.
I don't have Dean Leggy cash just sitting around, so I can't do this.
Dean Leggy couldn't flip a coin either. He doesn't mess with that metal.
All right, so I got a quarter right here. What do you want, heads or tails?
Tails. Never fails.
Let's see. Heads. Heads.
All right.
Okay.
You want first or second pick?
I'm going to take second pick so I can get the snake.
Okay. All right. Now, synonymous with college football. This is tough because I started tailgating way back in the day. And listen, the tailgate for the longest time, as much as I love the games and as much as I would get disappointed in the third quarter.
Saw you blow your leg out at the tailgate.
Oh, my God, you did. I tore my ACL. at the tailgate. We need to be quiet about that. I told some bosses I was doing something else.
Also, like the least impressive way to blow out a tailgate possible. You just stepped on a rug and blew your tailgate.
Yeah, dude. I wanted to cry. We'll talk about that later on. So the tailgates were always listen, I'd get to the third quarter of a game and I'd be disappointed because I knew it was going to be a week before at least a week before I got back to see another game. But the tailgates meant a lot. The brats, the sausages from back home, the butcher shop, they would always get like slice up the Boston butt, and basically we'd cook them like, Korean barbecue style, just kind of put them on the grill and be kind of thin. So I'm going to go basically, and I know this is not what it is. Yeah, it is kind of what it is. A cookout. A cookout goes whether you're at home, whether you are it's not a barbecue, it's a cookout. Right. And if a barbecue can be a cookout cannot be a barbecue. So we're just going to go straight up cookout. Whether you're at home or whether it's synonymous with college football, got to have a cookout.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's a great pick. Cookout is important.
And we're learning, slowly why I weigh 60 pounds more than you do.
Cookout is important. It's important, but it's not the end all be all. Because with my first pick, and I'm glad you didn't take it. I was worried you were because it sounded like this was the direction you were going to go. I'm going to go with Friends, man.
Yeah. Okay.
Friends is my first round pick for college football. The company you keep really makes it, man. You get the stories with those people. You get the great company. You get that one guy who's insane and doing the shots all the time. You got one guy working the grill consistently. The friends are what makes it to me, and you can't have a good cookout without your friends. So I'm going with Friends for my number one pick in our tailgate draft or in our college football draft.
I really wish we had the NFL draft sound effect here.
I wish we had Palmer with card right now. I wish Palmer had a card. All right,
we get some props. Somebody come hand it in.
All right, so I get snake pick here. All right, so I'm coming in. Second pick for sure to me is beer, easily. I'm a huge beer lover. I'm a big beer nerd. And the reason I'm picking beer over liquor is because you can do it all day. You can drink beer from the time you wake up in the morning, 6 o'clock. I mean, you're going to get drunk, but you can drink beer a lot longer than you can a bottle of Jack Daniels. So to me, if you got friends and beer, you got a really good day of college football ahead of you. Beer, my number 2 pick in this draft.
Had a couple instances back in college when we would get started on the Pong about 9 o'clock in the morning.
Sure.
And then, it'd be a 7 o'clock kickoff. It'd be 11:30. You've been playing Pong for a couple hours and you're just looking around. You're like, I got to hit the brakes.
Yeah.
I got to hit the brakes or I'm not going anywhere.
I told Robert Trigg though one time, and you can really do this, like with beer, especially like a keg of beer, right?
Yeah.
You can get that all day buzz, right?
Yeah.
Like you can just ride. Like you're not totally wasted. You can't drive a car, certainly, but you're not going to be a danger to yourself or others.
Yeah.
And you can just keep that thing riding, man. Beer.
Good little 4-foot wave. Good little 4-foot wave that beer can provide.
Yeah,
speaking of Friends, a good story that I don't know if I'll ever be able to inject this otherwise. Back in 2011, I had just started covering recruiting. A buddy of mine came to Athens. He had a parking pass in Legion Pool, and he brought a guy named Giles Garrison. Giles follows me on Twitter. Giles played some college football in Indiana, big muscled up dude, lived down in Miami. He's a big Miami Hurricanes fan.
Sounds like a guy who played football. Giles Garrison's a great college.
He got hit by a car at some point and in his adulthood and had this big scar across his head right here, and he was bald. But he's a really good athlete. And he had this Walmart Georgia jersey that just said Bulldogs 35 on it. It was white, right?
Who was 35 at that time?
I think Rennie Curran, maybe. No, Rennie Curran was long gone. Gone. Probably Mike Gilliard, actually.
Okay.
But could have been Verone Haynes jersey. Who knows? So Giles comes into town. We go to Magnolia's the night before. hang out, do some drinking, go to next morning. It's like a noon game. So we're out there. So Giles is up and at him at 6 o'clock in the morning, pacing. We called him Hurricane Giles. He's a big Miami fan, but he hit Athens like a Cat 5.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's just pacing at like 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. We get out there to the tailgate. Fans are walking by, kind of, how people walk walk around campus at 8:30 in the morning. It's a little slower than normal. And he's not calling it UGA. He's screaming, "Go UG." He's not a Georgia fan. He busts out the fish bowl. He starts making fish bowls like crazy. He's got straws for everybody. He gets it going like crazy, goes to the game, goes out. Him and my buddy Nate go out after the game. They're staying at my place. I'm coming downstairs Sunday morning at like 7 o'clock when they come into my house. And that white Rennie Curran Bulldog jersey, "Go UG," is like it's like my man John McClane in Die Hard. That thing is already turned brown, baby. He's been wearing it all night long.
Yeah.
We go to 5 Star Day Cafe. He orders 2 entrees, eats everything.
Is this guy alive? Is he with us?
He is. He's got kids and a wife, and I think they live up in Ohio now. They're doing great. Yeah. He came back for the Auburn game that year, and Georgia put a big time whipping on Auburn. I believe Isaiah Crowell and Carlton Thomas both went for over 100 yards in that game. Yeah. So he comes back for that game, and there's an Auburn fan with a seersucker suit. And they get to play in like a little football game or whatever. And the Auburn kid runs up to him and grabs him around the waist, and he goes, "Oh, we're playing tackle." And he takes off running across the parking lot. The Auburn kid doesn't let go. He gets up, and the seersuckers are torn from the thigh to the middle of the shin, dude. They're gone. They're gone. He's bleeding. I'm telling you, this cat, I wish everybody could have known him. I feel blessed to have known Giles Garrison. But let's get back to this draft. I've gotten a little crazy on my
Yeah, you're up. I mean, it's your pick.
Yeah, it is my pick.
You're on the snake here.
I've got the snake.
You got to come on with us. So
yeah, we may have to get Giles Garrison to come on here with us.
I hope so.
Listen, you don't do it before. My next pick is you don't do it before the sun goes down, but you've got to have a little bit of brown. There's got to be a little bit of brown liquor. I'm not saying you got to drink all of it or that's all you got to do. And shout out to my man Dale Spivey, who back in 2009 filled up a Powerade bottle about that big with Crown Royal, put it in his back pocket, and just walked into Sanford Stadium with it. And also an Auburn game, he's over here spraying.
Now listen. All right. So you came in with that story. I'm coming in with my freshman year, right? Georgia Auburn, 2005. I remember it so vividly, and I don't know how, because I drank about a handle of Southern Comfort. But I remember so bit. Yeah, it was Southern Comfort was put on this planet to kill me, and almost did several times. But I remember so vividly GBI coming up through the stadium, and everybody's like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I looked over, and there was a guy standing, and it's like it's where they bring the recruits now, and there was like a landing pad there, and they were going straight for him, and he's raising his hands up, and he's going, "What did I do?" And in his hand, he has a handle of Crown Royal. He's in the stadium, and he's going, "What did I do?" I don't know how he got it in, but as drunk as I was, I'll never forget that. And yeah, Southern Comfort right there almost killed me, man.
Oh, that's a skit, dude. That's like that's a y'all mentioned it last night on the show. You should leave, or what's the name of that sketch comedy?
I think you should leave. Yeah.
I think you should leave. Yeah. That's like that, or Saturday Night Live. That's something coming off there. All right, my third pick. This is a tough one because I've got a couple that and I said Cookout. Obviously, the post-game tailgate is synonymous for me with college football. The post-game tailgate. You talk about the game. You talk about everything that happened. You wait for traffic to clear. The post-game tailgate, maybe the best tailgate. Okay. But, yeah, the post-game tailgate is synonymous with me for college football.
Okay.
With college football.
All right. Okay. Good choice. Good choice. I don't hate it. So I'm going to go with pork. Pork is my next pick. Sausages, pork butt, whole pig. I've had it all at a tailgate. I feel like some instance of sauce, even a breakfast sausage in like a Rotel dip. I'm going with pork for my next pick. You got to have some sort of pork. A burger is great. You can get by with some chicken. Pork is easily consumable in the hot dog, the sausage. I'm going with pork.
I cooked a big pot of chili one time in a low country boil pot set up.
Oh, yes.
Let me tell you something, man. I cooked it, walked away from it. The locusts took it down. It was over.
I bet. Yeah, Uncle Glenn Hartley says pigs in a blanket. Luke, little smoky.
Hey, Uncle Glenn Hartley hit something that I can't really get with just yet because of what I said about the thing, but he brought up Low Country Boil a while ago, and that is the most underrated tailgate food ever. You do not feel like garbage when it's over.
I will say this, though. I will say this about Low Country Boil. You don't want to eat like shrimp that's like 8 to 10 hours old. So you don't want to cook it in the morning and then eat it after the game. So
no, you knock it out.
But a brat, if I find a brat, I'm going to eat the brat, man. I mean, I'm not that worried.
Ooh, got a bite out of it.
Cured pork, man. All right, so I got pork for my pick. My next one, I'm coming out with, I'm going to say comfortable seating. Whether you're at the tailgate, whether you're at the game, whether you're at your house, you want the sweet chair, man. You want the chair, right? You want to be on your couch. You want to have your great camping chair. You want to have maybe the seat back, right? I'm going with comfortable seating for my next pick.
It's a good one. That's a good one.
Dude, look at this list I've got. Look at it right here. I'm owning this draft. If you had these 4 things right now, you would have a great college football Saturday.
Yeah, and I think if you look at mine, you're thinking this could get out of control.
You're going, which is unusual because I think if our friends were surveyed here, they would probably say I'm probably the harder partier of the two of us. But yours is going more toward the party than I am.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Here's the difference between me and you. You're right. You would drink harder than I would. All right, on average. But you take it, let's say you send us to 10 tailgates, 10 college football Saturdays, whatever. The one who's going to end up in the middle of the street, trying to jump on hoods of cars as they come by is probably going to be me.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to let it get off the rails a little more than you are. You'll act like you've been there, and I'll have a time or two where I won't, which is why I'm going to go. Listen,
get out of jail free card.
No, that is not synonymous with college football. I've got another great story as far as get out of jail free card. This is a secondhand story. We'll get to that one in a second. Listen, you need good women. You need good women in college football. And the reason why is everything I just stated. My wife, she keeps me in line. She brings out the best in me. So I'm going to need her to be around on the college football Saturday if I'm not working. And she always is. If I'm not working, she's there. I had a couple last year, 2021, where I had my daughter had COVID and I had to watch him from home. She was right there through them all. So you need good women around, good women who help you go around and collect all the money that you've
spit on the tailgate.
Yeah.
Here's the Venmo. Send it to the Venmo.
Yeah. And my wife's good at that. My wife will also set the tone for a good mid-tailgate nap, whether it's in a chair or whether she goes and crawls into somebody's car she doesn't know. There will be a nap taken. You need good women to keep it between the lines. And then, man, I'm kind of out, honestly, because anything else I say is going to kind of be, I tell you what. Well, yeah, here we'll go with this. Being hoarse on Sunday. No voice on Sunday is synonymous to me with college football. During my younger years, whenever it was ready, you get in there, do your things and ask for forgiveness on Sunday mornings, and you're trying to sing the Redback hymnal, and it just doesn't come out sounding a little bit like McLovin.
Ain't forgiving you for that one, buddy.
That?
I said, Jesus ain't forgiving you for what happened yesterday.
Hey, he could. He says he will. And then, you're sitting there trying to sing the old rugged cross, and it's just coming out like McLovin. And that's just how it goes. So, yeah.
All right. So last pick, right, I guess, of the whole draft for me, I'm going to take late night restaurants. I'm taking a Little Italy. There was what was it? Eat Hibachi a few years ago. That was in downtown Athens. Doggone good barbecue. You got to have that place, man. You're going out after the game. You're going to hit the bars. You got to have that place. You're not cooking anymore. You've eaten all the sausages at the tailgate. So you're going out. You're going downtown. You're going to find your place. You're going for that Little Italy slice, maybe a Stromboli. Maybe the Waffle House, as Glenn Hartley says. Yeah, classic, of course. Italian special with the toast on it, with a little bit of marinara sauce. I don't know. That's late night food, easy for me.
I'm going to make an honorable mention pick for you, and it's Alka-Seltzer. You're going to need it.
Dr. Kevorkian is probably the better suggestion for me. That's my Sunday morning pick.
And, one of the things that I think we probably missed on here that probably should have gotten to, the voice of who's calling the game.
Sure.
Whose voice is synonymous with college football for you?
Yeah. For me?
Yeah.
Uncle Vern, man.
Yeah.
Vern Lundquist, man. Listen, I like SEC on CBS. It didn't matter who was playing. That was on my TV, right? Like I had Georgia on some streaming platform, but I always had whatever was on SEC on CBS on, because you knew it was a big game. And Vern Lundquist was always that guy, man. And so for me, it's Uncle Vern.
Chad Dog, me and Palmer hit a Shoney's in Tennessee on the way up to the Kentucky game this past year, and it was not a pretty sight what we did to that buffet at all. Man, so the young bucks aren't going to remember this, and you probably don't even remember it, but the voice that's in my head for college football, and will forever be that way, is Ron Franklin. He used to call the ESPN night game back in the late 90s, maybe even into, I don't think he was too much into the early 2000s, but Ron Franklin had a legendary voice. Him and Bill Godfrey, I believe it was, called the game with Adrian Karsten or Dr. Jerry Punch on the sidelines, maybe both. But Adrian Karsten was a big 6'7" white-haired man who would walk walk up into the crowd sometimes, and you were just like, "Oh my God, who is this man?" Mike Godfrey, that's right, not Bill. But yeah, he guys, I'm telling you, if you don't know who that is, try to go back and watch a call or something from one of those games, because I felt like he did it so well. And it also meant if you were watching that game, there was something going on. One of the games I'll never forget from him was a Florida LSU game. I think Georgia played LSU the very next week, where a quarterback named Herb Tyler just carved Florida up. Booger McFarland was with LSU at the time. Hell of a game. That 1996.
Chad Dog was there, man. He remembers.
Yeah, so that was a good one too. Quick story though, before we spin out, you talk about good friends and not getting too out of hand and driving. One of my good friends, my golfing buddy, Andy, we won't say last names to keep from incriminating people. He's from South Carolina. Went to high school at Williston Elko. They won some state championships there. One of his good buddies from high school, or a few of his good buddies from high school, went to a Georgia South Carolina game in Columbia years back. And one of his buddies is a guy named Skeeter, And Skeeter is his name's Mike in real life, but that was his nickname. And Skeeter got into a horrible accident when he was, I don't know, probably in his late 30s, and a one that left him quadriplegic. He has to have a motorized wheelchair to get around. He's got the use of kind of one hand, but he worked hard and fought back to where he could drive. And so they got a little too drunk at a game, at that South Carolina game. And Skeeter, they were like, hey, we call somebody to pick us up. And Skeeter was like, well, I ain't that bad, man. And hell, they ain't going to lock me up. So they get in the car and everything. And lo and behold, somebody stops short on him and they run. He bumps into the back of them. And Skeeter thinks, well, I got my situation going on. There's no way. They pulled his ass out of that chair and they put him in the back of a cop car. And they did, man. They did. And his better half was not happy at all. But yeah, that was they don't care in Columbia, South Carolina. They're getting you in your gut. But
one of my least favorite cities.
Yeah, I'm it's growing on me a little bit.
I've never had a good time in Columbia, man.
It's growing on me a little bit. Last couple times I've been there, it's been okay. But yeah, it's not.
The food's not terrible. The bar scene is not desirable.
Yeah, it's okay. It's becoming okay for me. Maybe I'm just kind of, but I don't think Georgia's going to have to worry about going there consistently whenever the SEC schedules come out. Because I like a lot of other people.
Are you surprised by that?
A little bit, but like a lot of other people are saying, I'm here in Kentucky. I've heard some chatter about that here lately, that Georgia's gonna be Auburn, Florida, and Kentucky.
That's better. I mean, Lexington's a great town.
Yeah, I just don't want to drive there if I can help it.
No, I understand. But once you're there, it's a good place to be.
Oh, it is 100%. I love Lexington, Kentucky. We had a blast. Palmer and I went up there this past year. We went to a place we'd never been before, some kind of German fusion place that was tremendous. It was really good. Good time. You got Smithtown Seafood right there with a brewery attached to it. That's real good. I know you think about seafood in Kentucky, whatever. It's good. Good stuff. All right, Jake on Jake, man. Jake on Jake. What you got for me tonight?
All right, man. I'm going to ask you this because I've actually had this one percolating for a few weeks here. When I say the word hero, who comes to mind for Jake Rowe?
Man, I don't want to be corny when I say this. I do love my dad. I'm Sturgill Simpson, decided to write a song about my hero,
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were like, I love my dad. Also, Sturgill Simpson's one of my heroes.
No, but I mean, obviously my dad is the guy. I mean, that dude, man, if you see my dad's knees and elbows and the way he crawled around under houses to install, central air for people who built houses before the central air was even invented. The things he did to put food on the table for us is tremendous. I love my mom, but if I'm looking at hero, and I gotta say Pat Tillman, man. I gotta say a guy like Pat Tillman, because you want to talk about walking away from money and fame and fortune and probably a spot in the booth if you really wanted to, like a Greg Olson or somebody like that. Dude, I don't care if it was friendly fire. I don't care about the circumstances or how it happened. I mean, I do care, but it doesn't slant how I feel about him. When that happened, that was one of the most inspirational things. And I had never really considered going into the military, and I didn't consider it then, but I did feel bad for not doing it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, God,
I never considered, and also I didn't then.
I didn't then, but I tell you what, I had to come to the self-realization that you are some serious kind of wuss. Yeah. You are some serious kind of weakling, scared person. So, yeah, Pat Tillman is a guy.
Okay.
I'm trying to, if I'm going in the sports world, I think all the people watching this right now would probably, Andy Staples talked about Louis Grizzard. And I said, I know he wasn't just a sports guy, but Louis Grizzard, man, if I could be as remembered as I want to be as a writer, I mean, who else could you pick? And there was never been another like him.
Sure. Yeah.
I was just going to give you a chance to opine on Louis Grizzard.
I mean, I mean, I love Lewis Grizzard. If I could pick to be remembered like somebody, I'd probably pick Hunter S. Thompson. But I mean, that's not really in the recruiting world.
What did he tell that guy in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? I like the shape of your head. Something like that. Ooh, I love the shape of your head.
The ride, man.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I mean, but what we're talking about are very unique voices, essentially. And so, yeah, I think in that respect, it's true. And for me too, I'll tell you, I'm an old school, for me, I mean, for my age group, ESPN fan. Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon around the horn inspired so much of what I wanted to do in this space and like being a part of journalism, essentially. So I would definitely say those two guys for sure.
I don't know what Tomahawk's talking about here. If he's saying I'm his hero, man,
Jake Rose.
We got to get some stuff worked out. I know a good therapist.
All right, what you got for me?
All right, listen. We've talked about, and you don't have to answer. You don't have to answer the way that I'm trying to get you to answer, because you may not feel this way. But I'm trying to segue at some point into a multi-show discussion about a song, and you know what song I'm talking about. But when you listen to country music, what is the most prime country music? And listen, we've done so much of that together. We've discussed it. We've talked about it. We'll just hit each other up out of the blue. Mm-hmm. What is the most ridiculous thing that has ever been written into a country music song, in your opinion?
Oh, for me, it's easy. It's like you started kind of setting this up, and I knew, like you said, I know where you were going, and I know what maybe you wanted, the direction you wanted this to move. But for me, it's Sammy Kershaw. Yeah. It's.
I knew that was going to probably be it.
Queen of My Double Wide Trailer, when he talks about the lobster tank, the slow gin fizz, the country fried steak, that is. There's not a restaurant on earth that has those three things. And if they do, I defy them to come into this comment section and tell us whether they are. I will come pay full price, and I will have all three of those things. I will eat a lobster tail. I will have a slow gin fizz. I will eat a country fried steak at your establishment at my own dime. I have no problem with that. But that to me is absolutely the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, not only in country music, maybe just in music in general. The suggestion that such a place exists, outrageous. Sammy Kershaw, libelous.
Hey, and listen, if I ever get that Live in Marietta scenario and I get $100 million, I will open a restaurant. We will serve all three. And even if we
make it the special on the menu, the Kershaw, make it the Kershaw.
The Kershaw, a 3-course deal right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I was trying to. I was hoping. Well, I didn't care, but it's what I'm segueing into here is a multi-show discussion. Is a thread we're probably going to weave in and out of our shows coming, and it is the absolute ludicrous nature of a song called Indian Outlaw. Listen,
which? Let me give you that. So, do you know the background of Indian Outlaw?
I don't know. No.
Okay. So, Indian Outlaw was totally shelved by everything I've ever read, everything I've ever seen. It was shelved. The record company didn't want it, didn't like it, didn't appreciate the single. They get new ownership. Suddenly, they put it out, and it propels Tim McGraw to ultimate stardom. But it was not like Tim McGraw basically had a dead single there. It was not really something that anybody was very interested in. And it's certainly carried on in such a way, and especially in our lives, thanks to Palmer for the I mean, also too, like listen, Tim McGraw, I know has like turned into like sort of a sex symbol, I guess, in country music. Faith Hill always was, but like Tim McGraw, like he gets the ladies going now. Like that guy right there looks like he shoots pool at the local place that I go to, man.
He looks like he's that guy right there. Looks like if you
that's the Charlie Daniels from the Torque Wrench that Sammy Kershaw.
If you're telling me, hey, what's this guy doing in 30 years? I'm like, he's cutting keys at Ace Hardware. You know, like he's helping people get into their trailers at Ace Hardware. You know, trying to help them with their locks.
With Randy Owens back there working the key counter.
Yeah, you're coming in there with an Allen screw, and you're just like, hey, listen, I'm trying to put this bed together. Oh yeah, our furniture stuff's over here. But no, listen. First of all, that song right there would 100% be shelved now. And he would be canceled. I am very shocked that the man hasn't had to relive it a million times over.
1,000%.
And I'm kind of glad he didn't.
We were on this though, so. All right, you got to give some background context for this. This is not the first time that Jake Rowe and I have discussed Indian Outlaw. It's probably the 300th time that we've discussed Indian Outlaw. The first of which was going down to Georgia, Florida. It came on the radio, and we just dove in on an analysis of the song and how bullshit most of the lyrics were, how ridiculous they were.
And some of them that we haven't even discussed before, like. He's Cherokee or Choctaw. Where in the hell is he getting buffalo skin to make breech from? I guess his lady is a Chippewa, and they roam the North Dakota Canada border regions. What are you trying to tell me?
You've done some research for the territory.
I did it today. You trying to tell me that we had buffalo somewhere between Georgia and Cherokee? I mean, come on, man, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And we're going to weave this through. We're going to get into it in other shows. We're going to talk about the ridiculous nature of this song. And listen, I think the one thing I think we need to do is this song has benefited from miracle after miracle after miracle. It's a miracle that man with that face right there made it. It's a miracle that this song hasn't been canceled a million times. I heard it on 99.3 the other day. How is it still on the radio?
Listen. If anybody has connections watching this podcast, get Tim McGraw on this show. All right, we do not have those kind of ties, but I would love to discuss it with Tim McGraw.
Jake, if Tim McGraw was my best friend, if he was my best friend in the world, I would not ask him to come on this show and talk about it.
He should move away. Is that what you're saying? He should.
I wouldn't do that. He needs to leave this song alone. I'm sure he hasn't performed it in a very long time. He needs to leave it alone.
Yeah. Also, by the way, over here in the comments, Chad Dog says, Big Daddy Seafood, Mooresville, North Carolina. You can get all three of the things mentioned in the Sammy Kershaw song.
Where is Mooresville, North Carolina?
Because Jake Rowe and I will do a live remote of this show at Big Daddy Seafood if they have all three.
Mooresville, North Carolina. Oh, man, it's not that far away. It's just it's a little bit north of Concord. It's on Lake Norman.
Oh, Concord. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit north of Charlotte.
Okay.
So it's not forever and a day away. You can you go to Charlotte, get on 77 and hit it right on up.
Get us listen, set it up, man. I'll be there. Slow gin fizzes all night.
Jake, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, I'm much more likely to pay a DoorDasher $300 to bring it to me like in Georgia. I am to go up that way. Oh man,
I'll make my own slow gin fizz for God's sakes.
Put it in a cooler.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think would probably be the hardest thing to get would be a slow gin fizz out of the whole thing, because I haven't seen one of those on the menu and on the drink menu in a long time.
I feel like a country fried steak plus a lobster that's a tough crossover. You don't run into a lot of places that are doing both things. Now, I will say I'm more apt to find the place that does the country fried steak. The Conoco in McKaysville, Georgia, a fantastic one.
gas station food.
It hits.
Underrated.
It hits.
Yeah, we'll do we got some things planned, but listen, Brandon Adams is going to be with us next week.
I can't wait.
We're going to be on our best bad behavior of all time, because Brandon is a professional and he's going to have some good stories to tell. I'm really excited to have him on because he genuinely is probably one of my favorite people in this entire world. But I got nothing else for you people on this show. You got anything for them, Roos?
Nah, let's rock and roll, man. They get home. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like I said, go back and check out the other episodes where we have actual guests, and it's not just Jake Rowe and I engaging in self-indulgence, as I said during the first one. So.
Yes, 100%. Hey, everybody get some good sleep tonight, and because tomorrow we spring practice. Good night, everybody.